let's clear some space because today we're going to be making a huge sandwich. A quilt sandwich, that is. A quilt sandwich is a 3-layer stack of fabric and fiber meant to prepare a quilt for quilting. Anything less and you just have a blanket, not a quilt. So make sure you have enough space to spread out your entire quilt. You can use a table or the floor for this project, but hardwood floors do work best. To make a quilt sandwich, start with the backing. You can use any fabric you want for the backing of your quilt. You can even use a bed sheet like my grandmother does for her quilts, or you can use a blanket if you want a softer touch. I'm going to be using this gorgeous pink tablecloth that I got at a thrift store for my quilt backing. Make sure your backing is laid out nice and flat and wrinkle-free. And some people tape their backing to their floor or table at this step to make the whole quilt sandwich making process easier. And make sure the right side of your backing, the side that you want to show, is facing down. For the middle of your quilt sandwich, you will want some sort of fiber to help keep you warm. This is where all the warmth and weight of your quilt comes from. You can buy quilt batting in any size and fiber that you want. They come in cotton, polyester, wool, silk, and even bamboo. And using a fleece blanket for your quilt batting will give you the perfect warmth and weight for a summer quilt. Just do your research before picking out a quilt batting because some will work better for hand quilting and some will work better for machine quilting. I'm going to be using a polyester cotton blend for my quilt batting today. Roll your quilt batting up and then unroll it over your backing. Make sure your backing and batting are nice and smooth and wrinkle-free. And it's okay if your batting overlaps a few inches because it might shrink while you're quilting it. The third and final layer of your quilt sandwich is your quilt top. Now you can use a single cut of fabric as a quilt top for an all-over quilt that focuses on the quilt stitching, but most people prefer to make patchwork quilt tops that include many different fabrics, colors, and prints. And a lot of people like to use sentimental fabrics in their quilt tops that remind them of people and places, just like this quilt top I've been working on that uses all fabrics that I inherited from my aunt. Same as with the batting layer, roll your quilt top up and then unroll it over your batting and backing. Make sure everything is lined up evenly and that your quilt is centered around your backing. And make sure the right side of your quilt top, the side you want to show, is facing up. The last step is to baste your quilt together. Basting your quilt sandwich is very imperative because it will prevent your layers from shifting around while you're quilting it. This is normally done using quilting pins that look like a diaper pin or a safety pin with a curve in it. But you can also baste the layers of your quilt sandwich together using a spray baste or by hand basting it with a needle and thread. I prefer using quilting pins myself. Make sure your quilt sandwich is basted all around the edges and in the center. I basted a few pins in each corner, each side, and on every other block. And if you have a ton of extra batting because you picked a batting that was much larger than your finished quilt will be, you can snip this down now, or you can wait until after you've quilted it to do that. And that's how you make a quilt sandwich. And once your quilt sandwich is done, you're ready to start quilting your quilt. Making a quilt sandwich was probably one of the most confusing parts of quilting when I first started quilting less than a year ago, but it's actually pretty easy, and if you get to this point and it's not right, you can always take it apart and try something else. So if you're new to quilting or you've never made a quilt before, make sure you subscribe to my channel so you can watch all the videos I've made on how to make a quilt. And also you'll be able to see this quilt video when I'm finally done making it. Please leave a like on this video if you haven't already, and let me know down in the comments if you have any other questions about the quilt making process. Thank you for watching my video today, everyone. I'll see you guys next week.